It's just Bruce, he don't bite. Hello.
This time, Bruce wants to talk about collecting vintage Star Wars toys and why he is getting away from making videos about it. This one is close to his heart. So let's relax and see what he thinks. Let's get started, shall we?
Well, hello and welcome back. I'm glad to see you on my channel. Tonight we are doing a Star Wars video, which I haven't done in a while. I've been an avid collector ever since I was 10 years old. If you're new to the channel and you didn't know that, well, I'm telling you now. What I do is I restore old Star Wars, Kenner Star Wars toys, the vintage Star Wars stuff. I restore that. I collect, and I've been doing that for quite a few years now. What I want to talk to you about tonight is why I don't do it anymore. Now, I'll still restore antique toys, Kenner Star Wars, G.I. Joe, $6 Million Man. I've done all that, and I continue to do so. But I stopped collecting, and I even went so far as about a year and a half ago, I announced that I was selling all my Star Wars stuff except for what I wanted to keep. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. Star Wars toys for me, I never collected them for the money. And, you know, a lot of people say that. No, I actually mean it. It was never about the money for me. And it was fun. It was nostalgia. It was like, oh, I had this when I was 10 years old. You know, we used to play this and that and the other. And then my challenge to myself was I want to get every Kenner Star Wars item that was made. The figures, the ships, all that stuff. And I accomplished that goal. I had all the figures right up through the last 17. I had all the ships. I still have most of them. When I decided to sell my Star Wars collection, I sold everything I didn't want, and I cut it down to, well, kind of what you see behind me right now. It's not the best picture in the world. It's a green screen, by the way. I'm not actually in the room. If you see my videos, you know I do everything for my shop. But that is a recent photograph of some of the stuff that I have. But I have condensed my collection down probably about 70%. And I'd like to talk to you about why I did that and my reasons for collecting, because I feel like lately I'm the only person that collects for this reason. Here's another angle of my toy room behind me. You can see that is stuff I still have. I still have all the figures. I wasn't much into the mini rigs and stuff like that. And there's a few modern stuff behind me too. And when I say modern, I mean after 1985. I collected them because it was stuff that I either had when I was a kid and I enjoyed that time. I mean, you're 10 years old. You don't have nothing to worry about. It was a better time in all our lives. You know, I'm Gen X. I'm 56 years old. Yeah, I like to think back to when I was 10 years old, when I didn't have to worry about nothing except for digging a hole in the backyard and playing with the Little Green Army Men and Star Wars guys. You know, call up your friend. You know, you all get together, combine them all, and have fun. And I still miss that. I know I'm 56, we can't really do that anymore. But it's the way I grew up. Just like a younger person has their favorite toys or their favorite things that they did when they were a child, they still reminisce and they still think about it. That's why I started collecting, and I still, to this day, I mean, I'll sit in my toy room and look around, and it just makes me feel good. But I stopped collecting because it just became, it's people were so hung up on how much it's worth. Oh, it's worth this, it's worth that, it's worth that. It's not about the money for me. And I seem to be like the only one in the universe that feels that way. I like looking at my stuff, remembering playing with it when I was a little kid with my best friend Sean, my other friend John, and this weird kid on the street. But that's okay, because if you can't name a weird kid on your street, then you probably were the weird kid. And I'm pretty weird, but this guy was weirder than I am. But we had fun. It was just a good time. And growing up Gen X, we played way differently than today's kids do. Way differently. They'll never understand getting kicked out of the house, riding your bikes all around a neighborhood in your little gang, and not coming home till the street lights came on. They don't understand that. They're too busy playing their video games or whatever they do. And that's fine for them. That is fine for them. But my childhood wasn't like that. And most Gen X people weren't like that. But now we go to, I have a group on Facebook, Star Wars Vintage, I don't even know what it's called. I have more subscribers to that group than I do on my channel. And I'm actually just not going to bother saying it because I like to keep them separate. My channel's all over the place, and I like my channel being all over the place because my channel is a place for me to go and talk about what I want to talk about. Tonight happens to be Star Wars. Sometimes it's a resin casting lesson to show people how to do something. Sometimes I just rant. Sometimes I talk about other weird stuff. That's my happy place. Everybody should have a happy place. But I used to do a lot of Star Wars videos. I used to do restoration videos, and I'll still do a restoration video every once in a while whenever I get a hold of a nice piece that is worth taking a video of. But just like my resin casting, I feel like I've taught you guys everything I know about that, which, I'm not an expert. It's just, it comes down to it, just my old ass down here in the basement talking, just like now. What ruined it for me and what made me decide just to get rid of my stuff and just keep only what I wanted, it wasn't a money thing. It was a clutter thing for that room. But you get on in these other people who do collect, they're ridiculous. They're ridiculous. They'll look at a figure, oh, it's got a scuff mark on it. It's worthless. It's only worth a couple bucks. Who cares? Who cares? Apparently they do. They're not collecting because they have the passion for the toys. They're collecting because they want to make that money. I've got money. I've got plenty of money, actually. I'm fine. I'm retired. I'm good. So I can just be honest about it. I see on these groups and other things like that, some of these collectors, they act like they're gods. You ain't shit. You ain't nothing. You're just someone that's trying to build up hype to get more money for what you're trying to sell, and you don't even care about the toys. And it's not even Star Wars. I mean, it goes into G.I. Joe. Over in the UK, it's Action Man, and they're just trying to get money. I'm sorry, dude. I don't collect for the money. I never did. Even when I didn't have money, I still collected because for the nostalgia, to remember what it was like to be a kid. That's a better feeling than selling something for $100. This guy here, he's here for a reason. I know he's worth a lot of money. I don't care. I throw him on my videos once in a while, and he just sits there. Hey, I'm Yuckface. Look at me. Who cares? Nobody. Everybody hypes it up. Oh, it's worth so much. It's worth so much money. I don't care if it's worth money. This is something I never had when I was a kid, so I purchased it, and I mess around with it. I still play with my toys to this day. If I get bored, I clean my toys once a month. I've done cleaning videos on this channel too, where I pull a few things out. Once a month, I pick a wall and I dust everything off and make sure it's nice and clean. Make sure the electronics work if it's a ship. If it's my figures, I dust them off with a paintbrush because it makes me remember a better time. But everybody now is all about the money, all about the money. That's fine. If that's really what you're into, that's fine. But I want to know if there's anybody out there that agrees with me that collects because they miss the memories. They miss having fun with toys like this. That's what tonight's video is about. Might seem a little harsh. I'm a real guy. I say what's on my mind. But I have gotten emails. It's like, oh, why don't you do Star Wars? Why don't you do Star Wars videos anymore? Why don't you review this? Why don't you review that? I don't. There's nothing left to review. I'm not going to sit here. I see other channels, Retro Bitching likes to sit there and just tear apart old toys and say what's wrong with it. And what about what's right with it? What about the memory you had playing with this toy? He has no clue. He has no clue because he's never played with the toy. He just, if you look at yesterday's toys from the 80s, what the play value is today, it's completely different. But in the 80s, that's all we had. So the play value back then is completely different than what it is now. I mean, think about this. Back in the 1930s, they didn't have action figures. They didn't have TV. They didn't have nothing. And my dad told me about this because he was born in the early 30s. When he was like 8 years old, the biggest thing he could do, and he still remembered it and he got a kick out of it, was chase a hoop down the road with a stick. And that was the thing. They would steer the hoop and they'd chase it down the road. That's what they had. And I know in today's standard it sounds ridiculous, but rewind back to 1930, I think you said 1938, 1940. Think about it. That's what they had to play with. So, of course, that's how he developed his memories. I developed my memories with vintage Star Wars. And sure, I played with other things. I had, before that, I had $6 Million Man and Weebles and, all the way back to my early childhood. Fisher Price Garage and stuff like that. And they all hold special places in my heart because that's what I played with when I was a kid. Video games didn't come out till the late 70s. And by then, I was 10, 11 years old. But I still remember the stuff I played with when I was a little kid. I still remember going out on my bike and riding all day long. I hope more people understand this than not because I'm probably going to get attacked for this video. But that's what collecting means to me. It means reminiscing. It's not about the money for me. I just wanted to have the toys I didn't have when I was a little kid. Play with them for a little bit. If I restore them, resell them, give people a decent price on my eBay page. That's what I do. But people are ruining it. And then they sit there and say people like me are ruining it. No, we're not. We're in it for the right reasons, in my opinion. You can disagree with me. It's okay. It's just how I feel. Anyway, maybe this made sense. Maybe it didn't. But I think I've run my mouth long enough. Y'all have a good night. You collectors out there, the ones that actually just enjoy the toys for the nostalgia and the memories, you're awesome. The ones that are just in it to make money, well, you have a purpose, but in my mind, you're not that awesome. Sorry, it is what it is. Actually, not sorry. Bye.
Well, that is probably going to be unpopular with the so-called gurus of collecting. Bruce doesn't give a shit. Good night.
It's just Bruce, he don't bite. Hello.